Bonsoir les amis, this is Llyane Stanfield. Bonsoir, this is Llyane Stanfield, and today I would like to cover a lot of topics. If you looked in the description of this video, this is a French webinar, a French conversation webinar, and I am looking forward to covering a ton of topics. Well, not a ton of topics. It may seem a ton of topics to you, but everything that I'm going to talk today about are pretty much, it's possible that you can actually find in just like a minute of conversation in French. So it doesn't have to be extraordinary. It doesn't have to be something unheard of or anything. It really is important that you master all those little tricky words that really stop you from making conversation, that inhibit you, and more often than not, really make you switch to English instead of actually speaking French. So are you so ready to finally become fluent in French so that you are calling yourself bilingual? Do you feel that you make all the time same errors over and over again, although you're learning in the books, and then when you start making conversation or you attempt to make conversation, they appear to be the problems that don't go away, and they keep coming back to you, and you have to start learning over again? And is that your case? Are you a beginner or an intermediate in French? So if any of these situations apply to you, then you're in the right place. So I would like to give you a little bit of okay, let me see how I do this. I would like to show you I'm not sure if I can actually do that for you, but anyway, so I'm going to tell you what we're going to talk about today. So this is absolutely and totally a webinar where you are learning the trickiest little things that not everybody is putting a lot of emphasis on. But like I said, they can come up in like a minute of conversation in French, and these little things, once well explained, will definitely give you the freedom to make conversation, to be able to understand the French and answer back to the French who's speaking to you. Order that delicious French meal without being nervous about your pronunciation, and go into the restaurant and feel comfortable about your progress in French, because even if you're a beginner, you still need to make conversation. There is a very big misconception in many circles that you need to have a certain level of knowledge of the language, of the French language, before you actually make a conversation. I'm going to challenge that conception, that belief, I guess, because everybody in my course, in my intensive program, is encouraged to make conversation, and we make conversation, speak practice the French conversation from lesson number 4. And the intensive program has quite a few lessons. So it's about a 4.5 to 5 months program. And so even from lesson number 4, we're actually making conversation. I'm talking about people who are starting from absolute zero. If that is you, you may feel very nervous about even starting a program, because you may think, well, I must know something so that I can go to conversation. No, you don't need to know anything. Everything that I do with all my clients, and I'm going to say about a third of my clients start from zero. They go through the intensive program because it literally starts from the alphabet. Now, if your level is intermediate, what I do is I still give you all the necessary elements of the language, which those I'm gonna give you the 6 points that I'm gonna cover today. So those elements of the language I'm gonna talk about today are sometimes very tricky even for intermediate speakers, and so if you are one, you're gonna still have the knowledge available from the intensive program, but we will customize the program based on your level and your background and your goals, and include advanced program. Now, if you are intermediate to advanced, do not worry, that's going to be available for you. I have an advanced program that is available for those of you who are already in a high intermediate level. The advanced program is also available right now for registration. So the intensive program is it's Parisian French intensive course.com. An advanced program is Parisian French Advanced course. I'm not even sure about that one, but please send me an email, ask a question here, and I'm not exactly sure about the link to the advanced program. I do need to interview you though, and so come to the to my website, learnparisianfrench.com, and send me a message to the contact page so that we have an interview and I can assess your level. I'm not usually taking people on the advanced program if they didn't do the intensive program, or at least part of it with me. And so if you already have done the intensive program with me, then you know where to find me, and let me know if the advanced program is something that you're looking for. I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you. So in this webinar, we're going to cover the following 6 topics. Number 1, find out the most hidden secret of the French pronunciation. Number 2, how to always know the genders in French. Number 3, the mystery of the 2 kinds of H in French and how to never be confused by them. Number 4, how to never be tripped by the word it, the English word it, how to translate and how to use it in French. Number 5, how to easily replace the subjonctif so that you don't feel inhibited in conversation. Now, if you are one of those people who want to learn how to use the subjonctif, absolutely the advanced program is for you. In the intensive program, we introduced the subjunctive, which is definitely not a beginner's tense. So if most of the people, which I kind of, in my experience, kind of 2/3 of the people who are following me are beginner to intermediate, then you would like to, so the choice that I suggest for you is to avoid subjunctive, or no techniques or no ways to avoid subjunctive while you're learning it. You don't want to jump into practicing it into conversation because you may not be understood by the French. So I suggest that you, and I'm going to give you the techniques today, how to be able to replace the construction, the French construction, the sentence construction, so that you don't need the subjunctive. Meanwhile, you are practicing and learning it little by little until when you become certain that you're using it correctly, then you include it in conversation. And number 6, how to be a smooth conversationalist and not to get confused by the usage of the words en, chez, à, and ne. Be able to understand the French and answer back when they're talking to you. So the rule of pronunciation that I always find that it's an actual big problem for most Francophiles is, when do we pronounce the sound e as in the word egg? So I'm going to go through these. The intensive program also includes the pronunciation master course. So I'm going to introduce to you to this particular rule of pronunciation. It is something that nobody's explaining it this way. And so you are into a huge guessing game, because memorizing one word at a time is hard because we also have a lot of grammar in French. So in English, we do memorize each word, pronunciation of each word on its own, yes. And there's kind of no way to get around it. There are not many rules of pronunciation in English, but in French there are. And it covers you for about 85% of the words. Now, the advantage of knowing these the rules of pronunciation, although there are exceptions, the advantage is that the new words that you are learning, or you not necessarily learn them, but you come across them. Say, for instance, you go to a restaurant and you have to read the menu in French. Well, I bet you that 50% of the words there may not be understood. And that is because of the names that the French cooks are giving to their meals. And so to their, not meals, to their courses, right? And so the names are different. Words that are used are different. And sometimes, quite often, the words are really not commonly used words. What do you do about them? Another thing is when you go to a museum, for instance, in Paris, you're a tourist, still a tourist, and you have to read descriptions of your of the works of art. Or you go in Paris and you have to find your hotel, even simpler. You have to find your hotel and you have to pronounce the words. You have to pronounce the names of the streets. You have to pronounce everything. So all these situations ask to know the rules of pronunciation, because those are words that you have never encountered before. And this alone, like what I'm talking about right now, is already one of the reasons why most of you are not going for conversation, because, oh my God, how am I going to pronounce these words? I have no idea. So if I don't know how to pronounce these words, how in the world am I going to make conversation? And this is it. The rules of pronunciation give you the freedom of saying words that even words that you don't know, and use them in conversation with words that you do know, names and so on. So the rules of pronunciation are important to know. So in English, we don't have rules of pronunciation for the pronunciation. In English, we don't have the rules of pronunciation, and we don't have much grammar. We do, but not many people. North America is pretty much a land of the immigrants. Promise you right now that not many, or the majority for sure, did not study English grammar. In French, however, we need to study French grammar. Every single course in the world includes grammar, because you need to know how to place the words, and there are rules for that. And so, yeah, in English, you don't have the rules of pronunciation. In French, you do have rules of pronunciation, and that helps you to not guess the pronunciation of the word. So I think I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but it's so important to understand that instead of learning 30,000 words with their pronunciation, you just need to learn some 70, and in those 70, I'm actually including 26 actual letters. So if you subtract that, it's going to be, I don't know, probably 50, less than 50 rules of pronunciation, and you are done with most of the words in the French language. We have exceptions. We'll talk about that in the intensive program. Not the time now. It's not the time for this here. So the letter E, as you take it from the alphabet, is pronounced E, and E is pronounced keeping the lips for O and saying E inside of the mouth. O, E, O, E, O, E. So E is the word, the pronunciation for a simple E in English, or sorry, in French. English E, but in French, E. Now, I would like to talk about how do we spell, right? So when do we read vowel, the sound E? So I'm not going to say actually the vowel, because there are certain combination of other vowels that combined are giving us the sound E. But it is about E, like in the word egg, E. And so first off, we have the accents. So accent aigu, which goes upwards from left to right. Accent grave, that goes down. Aigu means pointy, goes upwards. Grave means, grave, right? Think about something, like grave goes down, right? So it goes down from the left to right. And circonflexe is like a flexed line, like a flex line. So all these three, so E with any of these three accents is pronounced E, like in the word egg. If you wonder what is the difference between a short E and a long E, a closed up E and a more open E, I would like you to try to discard this concern or worry, because there is no differentiation or these different E sounds do not change the meaning of the word. And that's really important to know, because if they don't change the meaning of the word, then you have to know that they're going to come the way they're going to come whenever they're going to come. And typically the E's are longer, shorter, more open or closer or closed up, depending on the sequence of the letters that are in that word. So please try to discard that thing that actually is taught in many courses, and what I find in my clients is just confusion. But knowing the difference between E and E is crucial, because if you say de or de, different words, le, les, ne, ne, and so on. And so E and E are changing the meaning of the word. More open, more closed, longer or shorter E does not change the meaning of the words. Do not waste your time with that at the beginning or anytime. They are going to come out the way the French pronounce them the moment you're speaking fluent enough, and that's it. You just have to be patient with yourself and really don't put too much weight on it, because it's not important. It doesn't change anything in the comprehension, which is what you need, right? Then the second way of spelling the sound E would be AI. So example, aimer, for instance, to love or to like. Aimer. I'm not going to give too many examples here, but I'm going to give some. There is an exception to this rule of pronunciation. AI is pronounced E, but in the verb faire. So the verb faire makes an exception in pronunciation, which not many people respect. The teachers do, but it's hard to explain these exceptions, so not many teachers explain it. But this is the only time when in French we pronounce E instead of E when it's spelled AI. And so that is when we conjugate the verb faire at the first person plural, nous faisons. So it's je fais, tu fais, il fait, nous faisons, vous faites, ils font. So nous faisons is spelled AI, but is pronounced E. And so that is a big, that's something that not many people know. What is the consequence of this? The consequence is that the imparfait, taken because it takes the roots, the stem from nous, from the first person plural, it also takes the pronunciation. And so it's going to be je faisais. It's not je faisais. It's je faisais, tu faisais, il faisait, nous faisions, vous faisiez, il faisait. The third way to pronounce the sound E, like in the word egg, is EI, like the word neige, EI, neige. The fourth is final ER and final EZ. And if you have learned a little bit of French, you know that the infinitive, manger, finishes in ER, so it's pronounced E. And second person plural, vous mangez, finishes in EZ, pronounced E. So it's a rule actually across the language. And now this is the part when most people are confused and they don't know what to do with it. So E followed by two consonants is pronounced E, like in the word egg. And the typical example that everybody knows is restaurant. So if you find any word in French, any word, so that's across the language, that has E followed by two consonants, like the word restaurant, ST, that doesn't have to be ST, any double consonant, any two consonants, then it's pronounced E. Now, we have exceptions here, and I'm going to give you an exception. The exception is when the second letter is L or R. And so I'm going to give you two words that most of you know. Écrire is CR. That's why we have the accent there, because CR is not really fully, it's not a strong double consonant. And éclair, that's why we have an accent on the first E, because CLL is the second consonant and apparently is not strong enough, and so we need an accent there. Now we have an exception to the exception. So now not only am I looking if after E we have two consonants, and not only am I looking, but I'm still in that category, right? We have two consonants. I'm also in the category where the second letter is second consonant is R or L. Then now if both consonants are a combination of R or L, then we don't need an accent anymore. And examples would be with RL. Oh, I'm going to give you Merlot, it's the wine, that's probably the most known by everybody. RR, terre, most people know. And LL, belle, most people know this word. This is the reason why we are saying, we're pronouncing them the way we pronounce these words, eh. So this is one of the most important rules of pronunciation that not many people are actually knowing. And I'm going to tell you, out of my experience, I taught hundreds of people so far in the intensive program. So only two people told me that they knew about the E followed by two consonants, but they were not able to tell about the exception to the exception, which are actually part of it. So it's rare, and so I kind of bet my money that most of you didn't know this. Number two, how to always know the genders in French. Genders are a huge issue for okay, so I just to close the pronunciation part of this webinar, is that the pronunciation master course is actually included in the intensive program. In the intensive program, it can be found at Parisian French intensivecourse.com, and it is on sale right now, including a $399 bonus that ends on the 21st, and that is the Bilingual Express audiobook. That's what's included in the intensive program right now. Okay, so number two, how to know genders. Genders is also, the topic of the genders is also included in the intensive program. And if you are past the intensive program, the advanced program, and if you need any of these, the advanced program definitely for you. So let me know and contact me for that. So genders are a huge topic for most of you. And it's such a huge part of your experience with the French language that my experience of you and most of you who are talking to me and my clients is that when, for instance, when you reach out to me to register for the intensive program, when you reach out to me in the Facebook group that we have, your introduction, where I'm asking you about the top 3 challenges, believe that more than 50% of the people are including the genders in the top challenges. And so that's huge. Genders in French, so French is a Romance language, but so is Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian. And so genders are not kept throughout those 5 languages or in Latin. And so there is no rule. I'm going to repeat this. There is absolutely no rule in what is a masculine noun or a feminine noun. Now, I know that if you have learned you have taken any course, you're going to say, well, but wait a second, final letter, if it's a vowel, then it must be a feminine. Most of them are feminine. Most of the words who end in a consonant are masculine, and there are more rules like that. But I would like to challenge you to see, is all these rules that tell you most of the words are like this or most of the words are like that, how is that helpful? Because you really don't know when they're not. And to learn the exceptions are huge. And I'm running a contest right now. And so if you are part of the contest, now you know that the examples that I gave you to look up the genders for are absolutely commonly used words. And so if the commonly used words make so many of the commonly used words are making exceptions, learning a rule that doesn't say every time, it's like the final U is always silent, period, end the sentence. That's it. E with an accent is pronounced E, period, end the sentence. It's a rule across the language. But if I'm going to say most of the times this and that, I'm going to have to give you some example, or sorry, some rule for the exception, like I gave you with the E, with the sound E. So so E followed by two consonants is pronounced E. But if the second consonant is L or R, then I need an accent. But if L or R are both the second, the third, the two consonants after E, then it's still pronounced E. I don't need an accent. So that's across the language. So there's nothing that confuses you. There's nothing that leaves you with a ton of homework, a ton of thinking, which is actually completely preventing you from making conversation. This is what the rules of pronunciation are. The rules of the genders are. The rules of the genders are very confusing, only make you think, give you a ton of stuff. Yeah, it could be good for development of the brain and for exams, okay? And typically in the exams, you're going to get not the exception, but you're going to get the examples that you've been given for all these rules. And what does that help you for? I don't know, because in my experience, I met people who have a BA and MA and PhD in the French language, and they still needed to learn the rules of pronunciation, and they were novelty for them. I don't want you to be that person. I mean, I'm hoping to help you to dodge this trap, because it is a trap. So genders must be learned with the words. So the way to do that is to consider that all the words in French actually are made out of two parts, the word itself and the gender, or the article that gives you the gender. In English, the article is the for everything. But in French, we have la or le, or un or une, right? And so feminine, masculine, so that gives you the gender. Now, if you say livre, I don't know what word what do you mean? Because it can be le livre is the book and la livre is the pound. You see? And so start learning the words. If you start from zero, this is the way to learn your vocabulary. Always use le or la or une, whatever you choose for the French, and the in English. And always write le livre equals the book, la livre equals the pound, because the brain needs to pattern, to match, okay? It needs patterns. And so this would be much easier for the brain to memorize, as genders are easier for the brain to memorize when you are writing them with the in English. And that's not just a gimmick, it's literally neuroscience. And so this is how the brain works. It looks for patterns. And the moment it doesn't find the patterns, so if you say le livre is a book, or la livre is pound, the brain doesn't find the two words on this side and one word on this side, and it's just like confusing the brain. It's like a computer, right? It needs 2 for 2. So really, it's a really very nice little trick that will help you prevent problems from happening, because genders are not only important for the word itself, that one word itself, but the verbs agree to nouns, adjectives agree to nouns, and so your entire sentence would be not understandable if you don't make the right agreement, not knowing the gender. Okay. Number 3, the mystery of the 2 kinds of H in French and how to never be confused. This also is part of the pronunciation course. Pronunciation course is in the intensive program, and the intensive program can be found at Parisian French intensive course.com, which is on sale now with a $399 bonus. Please go there, visit, check it out, and see if it's for you. So very interesting. French themselves are thinking that H is a consonant, and linguists are not. Well, if you are a French native speaker, that doesn't mean that you're a linguist, because not every French speaker is a linguist. Only the people who are linguists, even if, whether they are French native speakers or not. So H can be a vowel, H can be a consonant. It is generally a vowel, and that's the reason why we say l'homme, L apostrophe homme. It's never pronounced, whether it's a vowel or a consonant, but the consequence of the fact that it can be vowel or consonant is the fact that I can make that up. I can put that apostrophe, so I can do the elidation, dropping the e or the a, the e or the a from the article, and so I'm going to say L apostrophe homme, l'homme, masculine, feminine, l'histoire, L apostrophe histoire. What happens when it's a consonant? When it's a consonant, I'm not going to be able to make that, put that apostrophe. And so I'm going to say le hibou. Le hibou, for instance, it's one of the words. And there are a limited number of words where H is a consonant. And another consequence is I'm not making the liaison. So I'm saying les hommes, les histoires, but I'm not saying les hibous. I'm saying les hibous, le hibou, and that's the consequence. It's a pretty serious consequence, because it's both in written when you have the singular L apostrophe or not, and it's also important for pronunciation when you make the liaison or not. Okay, so again, that boils down to the clarity, the comprehensiveness of your speech, as well as you don't understand what the people are saying, right? So why didn't they say l'hibou? Why didn't they say les hibous, right? And so that's a big part of the consequence of why is that important to know. Okay, number 4, never be tripped by the word it in French. In French, in English, we are pronouncing, sorry, one second, I'm just looking for the, okay, no, okay, I wanted just to move it. Okay, cool. So in English, the word it is just it. And so we put it, like I just did in this sentence, we put it, right? We put it after the verb. I want it, I eat it, I wash it. So in English, it comes after the verb. In French, it comes before the verb. And what is the word it in French, really? And so the way to use the word it in French is le or la. So if the word is masculine, I'm going to use le. If the word is feminine, I'm going to use la. I'm going to give you an example. J'ai un tricot, je le porte maintenant. I have a sweater, I wear it now. J'ai un tricot, je le porte maintenant. I wear it. So now the trick is that it's a little bit of a mental chess, because you need to know the gender. Going back to genders, we need to know the gender of the word that we replace with it. Je le porte, because if I said je la porte, a French would say, wait a second, you said un tricot, so what are you wearing? You definitely know wearing le tricot, because if you say je la porte, it's something feminine, tricot is masculine, you're talking about something else. Are you talking about a blouse? Okay, so it's confusing. It's not comprehensible. You don't you don't make yourself understood, or you don't understand them. And so if they say je la porte, je le porte, it's going to be confusing for you. What do they mean by la or le? Okay, if you don't know that it is because you may look for the it after the verb. Je porte le, right? Je porte lui. I have a ton of people coming to and working with me, and when they're trying to use the it, and if it's not really, well learned, they say je porte lui, which is wrong, okay? Because they're trying to put the it after the verb. Delicate things. And like I said, everything that I'm talking about today can actually happen in a 1 minute conversation. And you may say, I'm done with this. Just let's go to English, because I don't know how to handle these little words, right? And those are the little words. The little words are what you need to work with someone on. Not on vocabulary, not on verbs. These you have books for, even grammar. But the way to meld them everything in the actual real life conversation, the performance of the conversation, is what you need someone for. And the pronunciation, because you need someone to hear you in order for you to know that you are on the right pitch. Okay? So this was it. Number 5, how to easily replace the subjonctif so that you don't feel inhibited in conversation. Well, I am so frustrated. I am frustrated by the educational system that I come across. I mean, the things I'm coming across from the educational system. I work with children too, and as well as adults who have learned some things from their school, and most people have been introduced to subjonctif in their first, semester of something or term. That as a beginner, they are introduced to subjonctif. Why? Because most of the teachers and book writers, textbook writers, consider that il faut is an expression that if you don't use or you don't know, don't understand, you are kind of doomed. And it may be true. It may be so. It is a very popular expression. True story. But understand how it's used so that you understand the person that you're talking to, and find and know when you may not understand. And I'm going to go through all this with you now. But you don't have to. Use it, okay? So you may want to understand it, but you don't have to really, use it. Stay away from what you don't know well, because if you don't know well, you are getting more nervous than necessary. Your conversation is down the drain. So you're just going, so uncomfortable, and it just doesn't work, and you don't understand, or you're not understood by people. So my recommendation is this. Whenever you're learning something, and subjunctive is a tense for advanced speakers, and so whenever you need to what was I going to say? Yeah, whenever you need to learn something like a subjunctive or futur simple, which I also find that most people have a lot of problems with. So whenever these tenses are more confusing, more like harder to master, is what you're actually focusing on learning, have a backup plan. So have a backup plan for conversation that you can use to express the same idea. Meanwhile, practice on your own and pitch in here and there with that particular tense, until you get more comfortable, eventually masterful, and then you can kind of use it as you go. Don't try, when you learn something that's new and hard or harder, don't try to put it all full in conversation, because conversation is not about mental gymnastics. Conversation is about telling a story. So Jacques Prévert, go Google please Jacques Prévert to see what amazing poems he's writing with a 7-year-old language. You don't really need a ton of vocabulary or grammar, grammar you do, but not a ton of vocabulary for sure, or tenses, in order for you to really express what you want to say. So with subjunctif is one of those things that if you are an advanced, intermediate, high intermediate, you want to get into my advanced program, and subjunctive is still not something that you master, this is probably a good, a good tip for you. It's for sure a good tip for you. So while you're learning le subjonctif, I suggest that you avoid the expression il faut. Excuse me, I don't have water here. Avoid the expression il faut. You can use the expression il faut with the infinitive. Il faut manger. So for instance, I talk to Pierre. Pierre, il faut manger vite. Okay? Peter, one needs to eat quickly. So because I said Peter in front of the sentence in front of the request, that he understands that he needs to hurry up and eat quickly. But if I say to Pierre, Pierre, il faut que tu manges vite, right? That means que tu manges is subjunctive. And que tu manges, mange verb manger is a regular verb, and so it looks just like the present tense. You can say, well, not a problem. But if I tell to Pierre, Pierre, you have to know this lesson. Pierre, il faut que tu saches. Il faut que tu saches cette leçon. Now you're confused. So subjunctive has a certain, this is not the place to talk about subjunctive. This is a place to talk about how to rephrase, how to reconstruct your sentence so that you don't need subjunctive. But subjunctive has exceptions and rules and so on, and exceptions and things. And subjunctive itself is an actual advanced tense. It's a B2, B2C1 level. So if you're a beginner, beginner, B1, B2, what do you do with it? I mean, don't, just avoid it. And so how do you avoid it? Now, as I said, you can use the infinitive. Not always can you do that. So what you can say, instead of saying il faut que tu manges, I'm not going to say because this was in the contest, il faut que tu dessines, you need to draw this picture. Il faut que tu dessines, il faut que tu, no, I don't like this. Il faut que tu marches à l'école. Il faut que tu marches à l'école. I'm going to say that. Or il faut que tu marches plus vite. Let's say that's better. So Pierre, il faut que tu marches plus vite. That's subjunctive. I'll replace that. Pierre, tu dois marcher plus vite. Tu dois marcher plus vite. And so marcher now is in infinitive. We know what that is. And tu dois is the verb devoir in the present tense or whatever tense you want to use, but it's one verb that you can learn. One verb. You don't have to learn all the verbs with their exceptions and whatnot in the subjunctive tense, okay? So the way to avoid il faut plus subjonctif, in fact, I want to rephrase this. In order to avoid subjunctif, when you need to use il faut, then switch to devoir instead of il faut and with infinitive. So instead of saying Pierre, il faut que tu marches plus vite, say Pierre, tu dois marcher plus vite. Okay? So that's really easy. It's a B1 level. Yeah, I could say it's a B1 level. B1, B2 maybe B1, I don't know. Yeah, B1, B2. High B1, I would say. And you're good, right? Even beginners, I mean, it's easy. You look into the verb book and you know devoir, you learn that word, a verb, and you're done. Everything else is in the infinitive if you know what infinitive means, and that's part of your beginner's lesson. So you're done. All this is also covered in the intensive program. And so if you want to check out the intensive program, you can find it at Parisian French Intensive Course, Parisian French Intensive Course.com. Check it out and let me know if that's for you. It's on sale right now with a $399 bonus that's going to expire soon. And now number 6, how to be smooth in conversation and not to get confused by the usage of en, chez, a, and ne. En is a word that replaces everything. So, but what does it replace? So un replaces the words that are preceded by the preposition de. So if I say je mange du chocolat, if I replace it with the pronoun, will be un. So it's going to be j'en mange. I eat some, or I eat that I was talking about. Or I eat. I eat. I'm not going to say eat it, because je le mange would be I eat it. I have 3 pencils. J'ai 3 crayons. J'en ai 3. J'ai 3 crayons. J'en ai 3. Okay? Which means I have 3 of them. So I replace, and that is when it's something that can be counted. It doesn't have the de in front of it. That's an exception. Something that can be counted or that can be split. Je veux du gâteau is de. Okay, so something that can be counted, then I can also replace with un. But what if I have il y a? Il y a 3 crayons sur la table. There are 3 pencils on the table. There are 3 of them. Now, what do I do with un? Notice that when I say I have 3 pencils, I have 3 of them, that un, in English, of them is after the verb. I have 3 of them. It's at the end. But in French, it's j'en ai 3. The construction is completely different. And this is where mine starts to boggle. Because un is before the verb and 3 is all the way at the end. 3 of them, right? So un is before the verb in French, just like it we were talking about, right? And so a lot of these words are before the verb, really important. And if I want to say il y a 3 crayons sur la table, there are 3 pencils on the table, there are 3 of them, I'm counting them, so I can replace with un. So then I'm going to say il y en a 3. Il y en a 3. So en is before a. Il y en a 3. Again, before the verb. As crazy construction, something that most people thinking they're intermediate in conversation, the moment they get into this particular, the lesson 4 contains this particular expression, that's when they say, you know what, I'm going to take your intensive from the beginning because I need to know these little buggers. They are really tripping me every time I make conversation. And so a lot of people really don't master, those little words. Chez and a. In English, we are saying, come to my place, come to my house, come to my place, come to my house. That's pretty much when I invite, and now it's a holiday time, so we have a lot of guests probably, and so come to my place, come to my house. Well, in French, I cannot say that. I'm going to say, well, I can say that, but it doesn't mean that you're coming to visit me. So when I say come to me to visit me, I'm not going to say come to my place. I'm going to say come to me, and I'm going to have to use the word chez. So viens chez moi, viens chez moi. But if I want to show you the house, but I'm not living at the house, let's say, and I want to show you the house because I want to sell it, viens à ma maison, viens à ma maison, nous pouvons nous rencontrer à ma maison. That's really rare. But if I want to say, for instance, I go to the store, je vais au magasin, A plus le equals O, je vais au magasin, right? It's not chez le magasin, right? But if I come to me, I'm not going to say je vais à, viens à moi. Okay, very, very important. So a is used for places and chez is used for people. Really important. And the ne. Ne is one of the very, very confusing words that sometimes can be very tricky for the better speaker. And so we have, usually when we make say a word say something in the negative, and all of this again is included in the intensive program, and please go and check it out if you don't want to stay for the rest of this, or if you want to stay but please still go check it out. Parisian French Intensive Course.com. Everything that I'm talking about today is in the program. So I'm going to actually show you the program. So no, typically in the negative sentence, we use both ne and pas. But in conversation, most of you know that we don't use the ne. So if I want to say je ne mange pas du chocolat, I can easily in conversation say je mange pas de chocolat. Je mange pas de chocolat, right? I don't eat chocolate. I'm dropping that ne. Okay, that's all nice and dandy, but what happens when the pas disappears? Well, there are two situations. One is double negative. So the double negative would be when the double negative is when I use other negative words. And so other negative words would be plus, rien, jamais, personne, aucun, and others. So for instance, if I want to say, plus, I said plus, yes. So if I want to say, je ne mange pas de chocolat, let's go back to that sentence, je ne mange pas de chocolat. But if I use plus, which means anymore, I'm not going to say je ne mange pas plus de chocolat. I'm going to say je ne mange plus de chocolat. So I'm not going to say je ne mange pas de chocolat. I'm going to say je ne mange plus de chocolat. If I say je ne mange pas plus de chocolat, okay, I don't even think it's a double negative here, but it's double negative in the sense that, okay, double negative would be a situation where you land on a positive, and this is not the case. But here is the case we're having too many negations. You don't need the pas anymore. You will put the plus. Or je ne vois personne. I'm not going to say je ne vois pas personne. I don't see anybody. Je ne vois personne. Je ne vois rien. I don't see anything. I'm not going to say je ne vois pas rien. Je ne vois rien. And then we have the ne expletif. Ne expletif is when it's used without it being necessary. So I'm going to give you an example. Yeah, this is the example that I prepared for you. Let me just do this. I have an example. Je l'ai prévenu avant qu'il ne soit trop tard. Je l'ai prévenu avant qu'il ne soit trop tard. And this is with subjunctive. I apologize to the beginners. So I warned him before it was too late. So, but this is not necessary. The ne is not necessary. I can easily say, je l'ai prévenu avant qu'il soit trop tard. Okay? So, ne expletif is not necessarily needed. Okay? Now, there are situations where we use this ne expletif, always use when we have a comparison. We make a comparison. So when I have plus, moins, mieux, plutôt, pire, so all these words. And then another situation when we have sentences introduced by avant que, à moins que, sans que. A lot of these are with subjunctive, and that's the reason I go a little faster through them. And the subordinates are the sentences that show fear. So I'm going to say, je crains qu'il ne soit trop tard. Je crains qu'il ne soit trop tard. I fear that it's too late. Je crains qu'il ne soit trop tard. So this is the amazing tips that I have for you, and that I really want to give you now. Okay, so I am on the link here, and I would like to try to share my my screen to show you the intensive program. Just going to do this quickly. Let me just try to do this. Screen sharing. Okay. So I'm hoping that this is it. Okay. Yeah, I think this is it. Let me see if that's what you see, if what you should see. I hope that you can see. Oh, right. It doesn't really look too good. Okay, I'm going to do this. Now you can actually see. So the intensive program is this program that it's for you if you are looking for specific things, if you are ready to connect with the French and to realize that, you know, you do understand the conversation around you, and you are able to make conversation. If this is what you're looking for, and if this is, you know, the exactly what you want to have in your life for 2018. And this webinar today was literally for you to be prepared to make an advancement, to make a progress before Christmas, and to know these little tricks that nobody really is explaining in a nutshell like this with very practical tips. So what this intensive program right now includes, so I'm going to tell you, this is for you if you are ready to be the person others admire for being able to speak more than one language. And if you have a trip to France looming and are afraid you may say the wrong thing or not be understood, or if you are learning a second language, if learning a second language is something for you that you have never endeavored before, and you think that it is not your strength compared to your abilities to mathematics, engineering, athletics, etc. And so you will end up speaking French confidently. The level you will end at is high B2 to C1. And if you are already a B level, you will definitely be a C2 after this program, because I include advanced lessons in the program for you. This is a sample from one-on-one sessions that I have recorded with some of my clients, and it includes 19 hours personal one-on-one Skype classes, and there are 6 particular techniques, 6 steps that we go through. The first step is develop the perfect accent using the pronunciation master course, so that you never make a pronunciation or spelling error in French again. The second step is master reading, writing, and the French vocabulary, so that you can easily order your meal in your favorite French restaurant without hesitation. The third step is building a solid foundation of the grammar, verb conjugation, and their usage in conversation, so that you can have an extended conversation with your French friends or clients, no matter the topic. The fourth step is perfecting your listening skills through ear gymnastics and putting it all together to be able to enjoy French movies, understand that, you know, the songs that you hear easily, that the French and what the French are saying. Number 5, step 5, is immersive practice of the phrase construction in conversations, so that you don't speak English with French words and easily navigate through idioms. And the sixth step is virtual immersion in the French culture, to be able to easily pick a topic in conversation in French, be able to enjoy the museums, books, and movies, and understand the cultural references. It also includes 19 video modules, and they are 98% French. And they are, each module contains 5 15-minute videos. And these videos contain parts of, this is what I was used to do before with my clients live. But the advantage to have everything on video is that you can easily practice anytime that you want, as many times that you want. So the learning is much faster and much more convenient and easier for you. And these are the 6 elements that are contained in the video modules. And this is the homework that you can do on your own. So the first would be text reading with correct pronunciation. I'm reading it for you and you reading it with me there. Verbs that you will master in conversation. So as you click on this link, you have another page that shows you all the verbs that we're covering. Comprehension and idioms. Number 4, exercises and exercises solution. Number 5, dictate and dictate solution. And number 6, ear gymnastics. We also have bonuses. And the bonuses are Talk Like a Parisian Pronunciation Masterclass. So everything that we talked about pronunciation is definitely included in this program. You also have lifetime access to the program and all the future improvements and additions inside of the membership area. And then number 3 is the third bonus is unlimited one-on-one support that can be via email or VIP Facebook group, which is called Joalette École Bavard, dedicated to alumni. Now, for another few days, actually another 4 days, we have this bonus that is an amazing addition, and it's a Joalette Bilingual Express audiobook. I called it the winter contest bonus because this is available for the contestants, but it's also available for anybody who registers now. Know that though that I can take only a very limited number of registrations because I am dedicating a lot of the time to each and every one of my clients, because I'm literally custom tailoring every single the program for every single person that I'm working with. And so it's a huge dedication and huge time investment for me. So I'm not able to take many registrants. So hurry up if that's for you. And this Bilingual Express audiobook, I'm just going to read Troy's testimonial, what he said about it. I have found the lessons to be very helpful in the areas of increasing vocabulary and grammatical competence, tuning my ear to better understanding spoken French, strengthening my reading comprehension, and improving my pronunciation. Llyane speaks very clearly and very well. Emulating her pronunciation is an excellent exercise. Like any endeavor, you must put time and effort into your language studies. With Joalette audiobook, I have never felt that I was wasting either one. That was Troy, and there are more testimonials here. So the investment is $19.99, or we also have a payment plan. And there are a ton of testimonials that I invite you to read and see which one person you relate to the most. Because if you find someone who has somewhat, I guess, experience and a journey somewhat similar to yours, then you know for sure that this is going to respond to your needs as well. But don't take oh yeah, and frequently asked questions, which I definitely invite you to read. And don't take what's written on this book only. Please do make sure that you are contacting me and you are asking me questions, as many as you can. So this was it. I thank you so much for being part of this webinar. I hope that you have been inspired to advance much quicker into this French journey that I invite you to go on. It is absolutely, I think, the best thing that you can do for yourself. If you are watching this webinar, that means that this is one of the things that you really need to know, you really need to go through. So I do invite you to I'm trying. My video doesn't. Oh, yes, it does. So I really invite you to come to check out the intensive program. This webinar was meant for you from the bottom of my heart to give you enough motivation that you feel that you made progress before even Christmas came, so that your New Year's resolution is absolutely tangible, and that you can do that. Troy, the person that I read the testimonial from, he actually went from 0 to advanced in 12 months with me. He did the he did the intensive program, and then advanced intensive program. Then he came onto the immersion retreat for 7 days, one-on-one with me in Paris. And then we went through advanced conversation during the summer. So the immersion retreat was in April. And then the entire summer we did advanced conversation practice. And in September he came again in the immersion retreat in Paris, one-on-one for 7 days, as I do it with everybody. And he did go from absolute zero, where he thought that French or languages in general is really not one of his skills, and he went all the way up to advanced conversationalist, because he was making conversation with the tour guide, René Gustave, who we had in Paris. And that gentleman does not speak English, and so he was able to make conversation without my help in Paris with René Gustave. So this is what I wish for you as well. It is possible. 2018 is at a few days away, and you can definitely reach in 12 months. You can do that. It's possible. It's feasible. I am here as your biggest cheerleader as well as your coach, and I'm encouraging you to start it, because once you start it, you'll definitely get there. You have all the tools and all the support that you need. Stay on your game and keep going for your dreams to become bilingual. Learn to speak Parisian French and break your language barrier. Merci beaucoup et à la prochaine. Au revoir.